Hello, I'm going to do a quick review of Learning Target 1.6. 1.66 says that I can use the associative, commutative, and distributive properties to justify and simplify expressions. So number one, it says simplify using the commutative property. Commutative property is talking about the order here. So we're talking about how we order the numbers. So I know that you guys can add straight across 25 plus 26 plus 75 plus 34, but what I want you to use is justify it using the commutative property. So the commutative property says that we can switch the order of the numbers, and it'll still be true. So what I want you to do is switch those middle two numbers. So rewrite it to be 25 plus 75 plus 26 plus 34. And that is going to help us to add these numbers better. 25 plus 75 is 100. 26 plus 34 will be 60, so then now we get easier math there. 160 is our answer. So I just use the commutative property to switch up the order to get my answer. Number two, it says use the associative property. Well, the associative property is talking about how we group the numbers, or like the grouping of it. So it's talking about parentheses and how we should order it. So to simplify this, 18 times 50 is kind of hard to do, but I could do 18 and then go 50 times 2. I would do 50 times 2 first, because then we get 18 multiplied by 100. Well, then that's going to be an easier answer. It's going to be 1,800 as my solution when you multiply that. So we just use the associative property where we just switched up the parentheses, switched up the grouping. We didn't change the order of the numbers, we just changed the parentheses. Okay, number three is talking about the distributive property. So that's when we have like one term multiplied by a binomial kind of thing going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite 5, and I'm going to change the number 80 to be to work with easier numbers to work with. So I'm going to change that to be 80 plus 1, because that's still equal to 81. But now I can use the distributive property, which says that I have to distribute that first term to both terms in the parentheses. And then that will help me solve that. 5 times 80 plus 5 times 1. Well, 5 times 80 is 400, plus 5 times 1 is 5, so my answer will be 405. So we just use this distributive property to simplify that. I didn't just multiply those straight across. Number 4 is, again, using the distributive property. So I'm going to use my arrows and multiply it to both terms in that parentheses. So I'm going to go in -3 times a +7. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can change this to be plus a -9 if that helps. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go -3 times a -9. Well, we end up getting a -21 and then a -21 and then a +27. So then if we add those together, we end up getting a +6 as my final answer. Now you can always check your work by working back and just checking it up here. So I have -3 times 7 minus 9. Well, if you do parentheses first, that's a -2. So it's going to be like a -3 times a -2. Well, that is a +6, so it doesn't work. So we just justified using the distributive property that is true. The next type of problems is going to be combining like terms and then incorporating the distributive property. So with our first one, it says by combining like terms. Remember, like terms, they have to have the same variable with the same exponent. So like number 5, here we have 4x squared and 8x squared. Those have the same variable or the same letter with the same exponent. So what you can do is you can use the associative property to move them around. So it would be 4x squared plus 8x squared. And then I'm going to rewrite my -2. Now remember, always bring the sign that's in front of it with it. So it's going to be a plus 8x squared and then a -2. So now with combining like terms, I'm going to add my like terms. So you just add the coefficients. 4 plus 8 is 12x squared. And then -2 would be your final answer. We can't combine any further because those are not like terms. We have x squared and then just a constant. So that would be your final answer. Number 6, same process. It's going to be 6x squared and a negative 10x squared. Bring the sign that's in front of it with it. I'm going to rewrite it over here. 6x squared minus 10x squared. We also have a plus 5x and then a minus 15. So bring the sign that's in front of it with it. 6x squared minus 10x squared, those are the like terms, so we can just subtract the coefficients. 6 minus 10 will be a negative 4x squared. These aren't like terms, so we can just attach them. Plus 5x minus 15 would be your final answer there. Okay, number 7 is using the distributive property. So I'm going to multiply 8 by both terms inside the parentheses. We're going to get 8 times p, and then plus 8 times a negative 3, and then I'm going to go plus 7p. So when you multiply here, you're going to get 8p, and then it's going to be a negative 24, so I'm going to go minus 24 plus 7p. Well, now I have some like terms. I have 8p plus 7p minus 24. Combine those like terms, and we end up getting 15p minus 24 as my final answer. Number 8, same process. Whenever you see like the parentheses like that with one term, do the distributive property. Be careful with this one because it's a minus 4 that you're multiplying it. Don't just multiply it by 4. So you go 7x, 7 times negative 5 will be a minus 35. Negative 4 times x will be a minus 4x. Negative 4 times 6 will be a minus 24. Now we can combine like terms. So I have my 7x and my minus 4x. I'm going to rewrite those next to each other. Make sure to bring that sign with it, minus 4x. And then we have a negative 35 and a negative 24. So I'm going to go negative minus 35 minus 24. Combine those, we get 3x. 35 minus 24 will be a negative 59. So we get 3x minus 59 as your answer. Okay, so that was definitely a quick review. If you need more help, come talk to me.